Our boy grits his teeth, feeling a sharp and throbbing pain. Then he looks down and sees the wound on his chest bleeding a lot, while lightning strikes the sky. He figures he'll have to visit an herbal medicine shop tomorrow anyway, to see if he can find a useful herb. So, he starts walking carefully through the ruined place. Just ahead, he spots a man leaning against a wall. The guy seems motionless, which leaves our MC surprised and suspicious. The light seems to come right out of his body, illuminating the surroundings. Then our main guy remembers that this light came down along with the divine spirit eye. He quickly hides behind a wall. While thinking about it, he looks up and sees a statue's head floating in the stormy sky. With time running out, he gets a focused look on his goal. He notices the light comes from the man's chest and decides that if it's a treasure, he has to take it. Hidden away, our boy analyzes the situation, noting the body isn't moving, but it doesn't look like a normal corpse either, making him wonder if it's all a trap. To test it, he decides to throw something, since from that distance he can run away if things go south, and he chucks a rock. The projectile hits the man right on the arm, but he doesn't react. With the impact, a purple crystal falls from the guy's clothes and our MC watches it all from behind a wall. Our boy's reflection appears on the crystal as he realizes, shocked, that it really is a treasure. With a quick grab, he manages to snatch the treasure. He looks back, relieved, and takes the chance to get the heck out of there. Right then, the mysterious man's body drops to the ground, turning into pure bone. Alone in the middle of the destruction, our boy keeps running in search of a shelter. He continues to run and notices that for some reason his movements feel way lighter. Holding the crystal tightly, he thinks the crystal might be the cause. But his priority is to protect the item. Next, he needs to find a hideout before nightfall. So he runs as fast as he can through the ruins looking for a safe spot. Soon, he reaches an area with huge rubble and uses the rocks to hide the entrance. But suddenly, a bird sound is heard right above. Our MC turns around, fully on alert, searching for the enemy. Tired out, he puts down the branch he used as a weapon, taking the chance to catch his breath. Finally, it was time to breathe. Our MC gets ready to check on his wound. Looking at his chest, he freezes in surprise, seeing that the cut seemed to have healed without him noticing. With the crystal in hand, he wonders if that item can heal people. To test his theory, he pulls a dead creature out of his bag. Then he brings the gem closer to the animal, curious to see if it has other effects. The glowing crystal touches the creature's open wound. Right then, energy flows out of the stone and starts healing the injury. Suddenly, the creature twitches and starts flapping its wings with impressive force, scaring our boy. He realizes the bird's strength has increased so much that he can barely hold it. To contain the beast, he throws it to the ground and stomps hard on it. And with a knife in hand, he finishes the creature off. After defeating the creature, he leaves it on the ground, lifeless again. Thinking about what happened, he realizes the stone somehow made the beast move again. Then he decides the best solution is to hide the item, and there's no safer place than inside his own body. He presses the jewel against his wound. Through the wound, the crystal enters his body, speeding up the healing process. Then the fusion begins, unleashing a massive explosion. Our MC's body is totally swallowed by a tornado of energy. He gets shocked, realizing that this is spiritual energy. Our boy grabs a wooden scroll and says he can finally train that technique. This reminds him of the cultivation scroll and the 10 levels he read about. Back during the test, it didn't work out. But now things have changed and he managed to awaken his spiritual energy, focused to the max. The crystal on his chest reacts, unleashing a surreal power. During the trance, all his organic impurities are expelled in the form of energy. His gaze changes instantly, overflowing with pressure. Then he focuses this energy into his fist and punches the ground. The strike is so insane that it sends shock waves through the ground. Shocked, he notices the cave he's hiding in shaking under the impact of his punch. A hit like that must have caused heavy damage to his arm, so he pulls up his sleeve to check. But the surprise is that he didn't take any damage even from that huge punch to the ground. He soon realizes this is the sign of the first level of the mutation point. Turns out the world's energy can corrupt the body. If left unchecked, a person loses their mind and becomes just another monster. With this risk, the techniques push everything to a single point on the arm. Long story short, with every level reached, one more of these marks will appear. A creepy calmness leaves the MC intrigued. He wonders why there's no noise outside. The main guy starts pushing the rock that covered the entrance to his hideout. And when you know it, a bright flash floods the place and takes him by surprise. Stepping out to look, he comes face to face with a clear sky and zero sign of the storm. But where his village used to be, he finds a scene of destruction and a body on the ground. Looking at his reflection in the puddle, he realizes this was where he spent his life. His old life might not have been the best. He didn't awaken his spiritual energy before, replaying in his head everything he suffered and what happened. He decides not to give up right there. Carrying the corpse of someone who was once important to him, surrounded by ruins, he keeps walking. That wasn't the first corpse he carried, but it was going to be the last. Carefully, he covers them all. He respected everyone from there. With a torch in hand, he swears to himself that he'll keep fighting. Immediately, he tosses the fire onto his former companions in a makeshift pyre. The flames light up the kid's face as he promises to live. With that, our MC puts his hands together in a gesture of pure respect. In silence, he wishes for everyone to rest in peace. Out of nowhere, a loud bang completely shatters the peace of the place. The boy jumps away at the last second, dodging the destruction on the ground. Someone had thrown a weapon right where he stood, laughing his head off. A buff, bald guy was standing behind him. This brute mocks him, figuring out who had cleaned up the area. Without warning, he charges right at him with a brutal attack. With a replay-worthy dodge, our main guy evades the strike, pulling out a baton he had hidden up his sleeve, smacking the big guy in the face who doesn't understand a thing. The kid shows no mercy and immediately draws his dagger, super focused on the fight. Right after that, the blade pierces the enemy's foot without pity. Screaming in pain, the bald guy backs away, holding his wounded leg, which is gushing blood like a busted ketchup packet. Playing it safe, the MC takes a step back to keep his guard up. The bald guy is boiling with rage and raises his weapon, already promising the worst. Bald guy versus MC. Both are ready to brawl. The bald guy yelling that he's gonna beat the crap out of our boy. But then they notice footsteps. A new squad suddenly shows up, cooling down the mood. The old dude who arrives says the kid doesn't seem guilty for the village's situation. Right as way, our MC realizes they are the scavenger squad. With the path clear, it makes sense for the scavengers to step in there now. The injured bald guy even tries to complain, only to get a harsh shutdown from the leader. Freezing the room, the boss asks if he's going to have to repeat the order. Still trying to whine to the boss, the bald guy tries to say what our MC did. With a deadly glare, he proves he's the leader around there. He orders the bald guy out and tells someone to drag him away. The big brute gets carried away by the squad while our boy just washes. The leader walks over to have a quick chat with the kid. Introducing himself as Captain Lei, the old dude asks right away if he wants to leave with him. Deep down, he thinks the sudden invite is weird, but he agrees on the spot. Watching the bald guy with the axe leave, he wonders if rolling with that crew is really worth it. Captain Lei plays it cool, patiently waiting for the decision to be made. A few seconds later, our MC's mind is completely made up. Walking casually, the kid follows the squad, sealing their new partnership. Later on, the crew decides to take a break from walking to set up camp. The boss walks up and hands him a temporary sleeping bag. Since our MC didn't have a tent and was a rookie, he got one, but the leader tells him not to get used to it. Two members light up some incense in the area to scare off the beasts. Someone even tells the kid that the bald guy got tired and won't bug him anymore. They advise our main guy to kick back and just crash for the night. Before long, the dark of the night covers the entire forest. A creepy centipede crawls through the grass while the group passes out. Inside the tent, the big brute is sleeping like a rock. But here's where it gets real. He wakes up choking with a blade to his neck. Our boy covers the big guy's mouth, cutting off any cry for help. Without a second thought, he knows you can't sleep with an enemy still breathing. He even tries to put up a fight, but his eyes roll back and he slumps over. Pulling his dagger back, the boy knows for sure he had to do it. Outside, total silence keeps dominating the peaceful camp. Then he drags that huge, heavy dude straight into the darkness. He grabs the lethal snake head he had prepared beforehand. His idea is super simple. Just stick its fangs right into the body. This acidic poison works perfectly to melt the entire body down. In the blink of an eye, the corpse turns into nothing but dark sludge on the bare ground. Looting the victim's gear, he wipes out any trace left behind. Right after, he peeks into the empty tent and sees the problem is completely gone. To anyone else, it's just gonna look like the guy sneaked away in the night. He heads back to his own sleeping bag and manages to crash out under the moonlight. The sunrise wakes the kid up to face the morning head-on. He takes a look around and gets an absolute shock. As crazy as it sounds, the bald guy's tent just straight up vanished. Holding the torn fabric, he wonders to himself who would do such a thing. Captain Lei figures the bald guy took his loot and bolted in the dead of night. This catches him off guard, leaving his mind completely scrambled about the whole thing. He hears some heavy footsteps stomping closer and locks onto the noise in front of him. To his surprise, the boss of the scavengers stops right in front of him. The veteran stares him down and asks if he's still down to roll with the group. Completely dead silent, the kid just stares right back at him. Deciding to stick with the group, he moves out with the squad. After a solid time skip, we get a giant snake brutally attacking our MC, but our hero doesn't back down an inch and delivers a devastating punch to it. He drops a combo of heavy hits, shattering all of its tough scales. Dazed from the beating, the snake just writhes in pain, diving right back in. Our boy shoves his knife down the beast's throat like an absolute savage. The snake can only watch its prey become the predator, with the kid ready to finish it off. Our boy pops out the snake's eye as a victory trophy and an afternoon snack. With that, he casually finishes the snake off like it's just a regular Tuesday. Back at the arena, everyone is gossiping that he took down the famous horned python. Our MC heads back to the squad's camp, surrounded by beasts too chicken to get close. Captain Thunder walks up and tells him he passed the test and is good to stay. No beating around the bush. The kid asks if he can move in, and gets a yes. He even offers up the giant beast, remembering the veteran loves that dish. That's so out of left field that it makes the boss laugh his lungs out. Watching from a distance, someone notices how ice-cold the kid is in combat. But the mysterious hooded guy finds the whole scene pretty interesting. A few hours later, the leader shows our hero a fenced-in spot to live in. Lei tells him to get settled because he'll call him for some grub real soon. That cramped little room brings him a huge sense of safety. Outside, a bug quietly lands on a tree, keeping a close eye on everything. Locked in his new room, the kid meditates while his power boils up. All that built-up strength overflows from his body during his training, and wouldn't you know it, he hits the second layer of ki condensation. A call for dinner totally breaks his focus right then and there. Peeking out the door, the feast on the table leaves him completely shocked. There's all kinds of food, a massive spread he hasn't seen in a long time. The captain tells him to stop drooling from far away and sit down to eat. The catch is, there's one extra plate set up right there in the corner. Curious, he asks if they have company coming, but the old man says it's just a tradition. Staring blankly, the boss says that spot is for someone who's never gonna show up, dropping the line with a super sad tone. The night outside stays perfectly quiet and super chill. Since he was starving, he just attacks the food with his bare hands. Immediately, Lei smacks his hand away with a pair of chopsticks. The veteran tells him to eat like a normal person and use his utensils right. Without complaining, the kid awkwardly obeys and uses the chopsticks. Even struggling to pick up the food, he still goes to town on his meal. Finding it funny, the captain serves him a piece and cracks a smile. Right then and there, he mumbles with his mouth full that the hunt brings 15 days worth of grub. That meat covers the sleeping bag, and the rest pays off the backup against the bald guy. Our MC even says he'll pay rent little by little, so it's no big deal. Hearing that, the leader lets out a genuine laugh at the kid's bold attitude. Right after, he drops his chopsticks on the table and looks dead serious. Lei explains that his team is out of commission and now the kid is working with them. Totally chill. The kid just nods along while he keeps chewing. Without warning, the veteran chokes hard and coughs like he's gonna pass out. Catching his breath, he tells the kid to finish eating, saying they'll head out soon. Man, right then the vibe completely flips and the kid gets highly focused. To survive the Forbidden Zone, he's gonna have to get a whole lot stronger. Days later, things are calm while a bird flies over the camp. Our main guy is out there grinding hard every single day. Our MC can really feel that he's getting way stronger. Since the crew agrees, the leader tells everyone to pack their stuff and head out. Lei calls our boy over to grab some food. The kid notices that extra plate sitting on the table again. Right then, a muscular giant shows up with a club announcing they're back. That overwhelming presence instantly puts some heavy pressure on the kid. Another guy quickly agrees, thinking taking the kid along is an awful idea. The duo walks up full of swagger and throwing their weight around. The woman and the archer question if a little brat should really be there. Right then, the kid takes a quick break from his meal to think. With a sharp look, the archer sizes the boy up from head to toe. Finding it funny, the big guy even jokes that the old man adopted a son. Completely silent, the MC keeps measuring up the squad's strength. It becomes pretty obvious to him that this trio isn't messing around. But the archer definitely looks like the biggest threat out of them all. The boss serves the kid a plate and tells everyone to dig in right away. To break the ice, Lei introduces the big guy's insane strength and Banya, who handles the camp dogs, and the archer who never misses his mark no matter the distance. Our hero stares them down, figuring out instantly that they're crazy strong. With introductions done, the captain reveals the kid's current physical level, saying that he's completely qualified to join the mission. Our MC shoots a dead serious look right at the leader. Feeling a bit hesitant, our main guy gets a little spooked. The archer stands up and says he's done with the small talk. Everyone suddenly stands up from the table. With that, the archer says talk is cheap, he wants to see the kid in action. The boy just keeps eating quietly in his little corner. Lei then gives the kid a heads up to get ready. The MC then stops eating and says, "Let's get to it," and claims he's ready to fight and take down any creature. The big guy is pretty impressed with the kid's bold words. Right as the girl locks eyes with the boy and gets super curious. Ignoring all the jokes, our hero just stays totally focused on his food. Captain Thunder passes the torch and warns that the choice is all his. Sometime later, the crew is trekking through a super rocky desert. Moving carefully, they make their way across some seriously dangerous terrain. Out of nowhere, the guard dogs start barking and howling non-stop. The woman walks up to the beasts, trying to figure out what's going down. She notices the smell of blood and realizes that something is missing, and that's when it gets real. She curses the void while the dogs back off in fear. A wild man is out there devouring one of the dogs and mocking its taste, sitting on one of the hounds. The enemy now wants a taste of the girl's flesh. Mad with rage, she charges right at him with her dogs. Quickly, the archer gets into his combat stance to jump in. He draws his bowstring, aiming dead straight at the enemy. The shot is so perfect that it drops a flying beast right on the spot. At the same time, the villain's sidekick takes a hit from a rock and spits blood. With that, they take out the henchman and the beast that was tracking our squad. Even so, the wild leader just grumbles, not caring at all about the loss. Full of swagger, he taunts the squad and calls everyone out for a fight. That aura is so heavy it makes him look like an absolute monster. Man Ye and the big brute form the front line for the clash. Nobody saw it coming, but Lei orders the crew to fall back right away. Mocking their retreat, the enemy lets out a super creepy laugh. Looking back one last time, the kid watches the scene with a dead serious look. The villain smirks, saying the crew just let a massive problem walk away free. Hours later, the crew steps into a super creepy forest. They push through the twisted trees while the storm pours down hard. Every branch snapping on the ground makes a huge crack in the pitch-black woods. Right then, RMC feels a heavy vibe in the air and clenches his fist from pure stress. Walking close to the boss, he notices animals creeping right next to them. The captain tells him to stay sharp because anyone who gets lost here turns into fertilizer real quick. Right Esther's wants the K to watch out for the mutation spots on his body. Totally focused, the kid takes the advice, knowing how dangerous this place really is. Then, the shooter takes a quick glance around to see how clear the area is. He hands him a pill, explaining that it helps slow down the mark from spreading. Without blinking, our boy grabs the item and thanks him for the backup. Man, right at that moment the veteran's look shifts, spotting something in the dark. He quickly knocks an arrow aiming at the brush and yells that they've got company. And suddenly, a huge rustling sound echoes heavy all through the forest. Stepping out of the shadows, a nasty pack of giant wolves charges right at the crew. The big brute pulls out his shield and jumps right to the front line. Cold and calculating, the kid starts counting them up and it easily passes 19, but then he spots over 100 starving beasts glaring at the crew from deep in the brush. Without wasting a second, the leader braces himself for the fight. Taking the lead, Lei unleashes his max power and yells for the squad to get out of there. Immediately, the shooter screams for everyone to bail. Looking back, he still checks on the captain fighting from behind with a lot of worry. But he notices our MC is frozen in place and screams at him to move it. Pissed off, the archer yells that the old man can handle it and the kid is just dead weight. With that, the big guy charges right back in without a second thought. The plan now is to use the trees to form a natural defense barrier. With the rear guard secured, the boss charges at the wolves with everything he's got. Using all his strength, the boss swats all the wolves miles away. But one of the monsters jumps straight for his neck with razor-sharp fangs. Our MC watches from a distance as Lei throws down against the creatures. The archer screams at the kid to run because he's just getting in the way. Through all that chaos, it's clear just how insane the whole squad's teamwork really is. Our main guy grips his wooden stick nice and tight and bolts the heck out of there, heading straight for his teammate's rearguard. His female teammate readies her skill to back up the crew. Since the team has a ton of battle experience, they quickly snap into their combat spots. Our MC takes off running, trying to break out of the forest. The intense fight against the creatures drags on. The leader runs, luring the beasts exactly where he wants them. The starving beasts rush in with everything they have. The boss sprints away as fast as he humanly can. When the beast jumps slicing through the air, without blinking, the big guy throws a counterattack, hitting the beast dead on with a massive amount of pressure. Right after that, he's about to get completely shredded by the beast, when suddenly a green flash rips through the beast's side with insane precision. With the beast pinned to the ground, he gives his partner a nod of thanks. The relieved archer watches him from up in a tree. Clearly, the battle isn't over yet. The boss is still surrounded by the beasts. The shooter quickly notices they still need some help. He keeps punching his way right through the whole pack. Manga quickly crouches down and jumps into the fight. There are a lot of beasts, and they're getting way more fierce. The archer sees the kid on the ground and yells for him to run away. The MC charges toward the archer, ready to attack. The archer gets spooked by the rat attacking right at him, but he's way more impressed with our MC watching his back, totally surprised by the scene. Our main guy shows his training days definitely paid off. The rookie dodges fast and drives his blade into the target's neck, and he notices there are more coming straight for him. He attacks the wolves with his knife, slicing them all with a single strike. Proving his knife is sharp, the wolves get scared seeing what our MC did. With that, our MC gets into a combat stance, ready for whatever comes. The archer is totally surprised by what he's seeing. With that, the leader of the creatures pops up in front of our MC, taking a breath. The kid notes the stone heals the body, but doesn't bring his stamina back. He clenches his fist hard, knowing his physical training can still handle a fight. The problem is the mutation mark throbbing more and more on his arm. Far away, Lei notices the boy is in danger. Our MC drops to the ground from exhaustion. The wolf notices that our main guy is getting weak. The wolf charges in with everything to attack our MC. Our MC locks eyes on the wolf and dodges, and buries the blade right in the wolf's neck. The creature just slumps to the dirt without a single sign of life. Looking to the side, the MC swears he's seeing things in the background. Something super bizarre starts drawing his attention on the fresh corpse. Crazy enough, the beast's shadow is melting into the ground. This dark stain comes alive and starts crawling right toward him. The MC gets spooked by what's happening and just stares at it, seeing the exact same thing happening to the other creatures. Nobody understands a thing when a dark force swallows the kid right up. Right then, the kid feels an evil vibe rotting his body and gets totally lost. A creepy human-shaped mark pops up right in his eye. The forest finally calms down. Taking a deep breath, the boy tries to stand up after all that chaos, and the first thing he does is touch his chest to check the sacred stone. The amulet flashes bright, confirming it's still working perfectly fine. Wu Gui walks up, praising his stance, and tells him to take a well-deserved break. He says the horde is going to pull back since they burned too much energy there. He asks if he's in one piece, and the kid nods without saying much. The boy notices he's being called and raises his hand. Manhwa tosses a vital item, earning a nod of gratitude. Our MC spots the archer up high in the tree. The archer watches our MC with a super suspicious look. He ignores the archer and keeps moving forward. In all that darkness, he reveals the spheres Manhwa gave him. The thing is, there are 3 white pills giving off a soft glow. Wasting no time, the kid sits down to meditate and speed up his healing. Half an hour later, silence and darkness still rule the place. He then wakes up, noticing right away that the vibe around him changed. This sounds super bizarre since the evil inside him seems completely intact. Our MC stares at his own arm and notices a massive difference. And check out this craziness. Taking off the bandage, he sees one of the marks is gone. Logically, if the healing is clean, it's bizarre that his strength stays the same. Feeling his power throb, he suspects the stone sucked up that shadow. Confusion is written all over the kid's face as he stares at that amulet. That mysterious reaction makes him question where this stone came from. It leaves him wondering what kind of dark and toxic threat that was. Out of nowhere, his teammate's voice echoes running toward him in the dark. He glances at the scene but doesn't even care about the veteran's warning. Turning his face to the horde, he figures the danger hardly matters now. Right on time, Lei runs past and charges straight at the monsters. He raises his weapon, fully focused to tear the beasts apart. With a deafening roar, he taunts the pack, calling for a fight. After all, the past doesn't matter. His only mission now is to survive. Shortly after, under the moonlight, the whole forest drops into a tense silence. The wolf keeps watching the group. The group, already out of patience, gets ready to go all out again. The wolves gave up on fighting. Man, right then he gets super hyped about reaching the 3rd level. Something super weird ends up standing out amid all this evolution. Looking from the corner of his eye, the boy spots a heavy distortion going on nearby. The big guy then greets our MC. He raises his hand and says, "Give me a fist bump right here." With the beasts fully retreating, the team takes a deep breath without fear. The threats fade into the dark, bringing peace back at least for now. Our MC simply collapses to the dirt from so much built-up exhaustion. Closing his eyes, our boy remembers the face in the sky over his village. She even turns to the rookie and gives him a super sincere thank you. Right then, the boss walks up, praising the kid and gives him a friendly pat. The brew guarantees that without this vital backup, someone would have freaked out by now. Staying quiet, our MC stares ahead, replaying the tense fight in his mind. The big guy holds the suspicious item, not getting why the box is worn out. Checking the piece up close, the mage puts the squad on edge. The boss gets surprised by something. Under pressure, the giant swears he bought it thinking it was a simple repellent. His teammate says the brute didn't like the reward. The big guy nervously tries to explain that's not it. Manhwa and the kid also stare at the item, realizing the massive size of the problem. Frozen in place, the big brute feels super guilty for the dangerous screw-up. With that, the captain grabs his shoulder and says he already knows who set up this dirty trick. The two share a dead serious look, having the exact same suspect in mind. Full of rage, Lei drops the name of their rivals, the Blood Shadow Squad. The mage warns that the crew can't handle a fight if they hit another one of their traps along the way. This leaves the captain wondering whether to fall back or just keep going with the mission. All around them, the dark forest seems to hide way more lethal dangers. The archer then points out the target is close, but the crew's exhaustion is really weighing them down. Super frustrated, the giant snaps a ration bar right in half with his bare hands. The archer totally refuses to accept the idea of heading back with empty backpacks. The boss takes a deep breath, gathering the guts to give it to them straight right then and there. The order is to push forward, grab the herb, and split up so everyone gets back to base safely. Right away, the team gears up and keeps trekking through the pitch-black woods. A little while later, they reach a spot completely covered in roots. These rare plants cut through the darkness, giving off a super soft glow all over the place. Checking out the area, the kid realizes it's the 7-leaf grass they've all been after. Our MC stands still because he senses something. He realizes there is something else lurking in this forest. Getting focused, he starts looking around carefully. Our main guy starts feeling the energy flowing all through that place. Keeping a close eye on the roots, he shoots a super suspicious look right at his own shadow. The kid notices his shadow isn't the same. It reflects what he actually has inside him. The MC just stands his ground, with his shadow covering the dirt right in front of him. And that's when things shift. The veteran hands him a bag as a reward for his hard work. Whispering, he says this rare item unlocks hidden potential, but it needs an antidote. The kid thanks him for the awesome gift and gets ready to head out on his own path. The archer steps up, telling him to be careful, and sets a meetup back at the main camp. Right after, the kid marches off completely alone to the middle of those creepy, quiet woods. He decides not to mess with the item right now, saving it to check out properly later on. Hours later, he's super relieved that the monsters down below didn't spot him. But the piece ends when a loud crash shakes the tree where he was just chilling. Pushing through the thick fog, he wonders what the heck caused that massive impact. The kid quickly crouches down to spy on all the crazy chaos happening below. He is totally focused, mapping out every single detail of the brawl without blinking. Man, there are several allies down on the ground. The rival squad set up a totally dirty trap. The veteran yells from the back that he's going to wipe every single one of them out, ready to throw down against 2 super high-level enemies. At the same time, 3 weaker enemies completely block the only escape route out of there. Calculating it all, the MC decides to wipe out the 3 weaklings before focusing on the bigger threat. Without any warning, a deadly strike rips through the wind, dropping one of the guys instantly. Our hero jumps straight into the action, shocking everyone with a speed nobody saw coming. Right then, he takes down the next target from behind, completely shutting the crazy guy down. Focused to his very soul, the kid is already calculating the distance to his next opponent. Spinning his blade, he drops the enemy without giving him a single chance to fight back or defend. The kid's conclusion is that he totally underestimated the overall strength of the enemy crew. Desperate, the boss screams at the kid to get the heck out of there as fast as he can. The kid doesn't even blink and holds his ground, ready to face whoever is still left standing. A rival praises the damage the rookie did, but quickly sentences him to death with zero mercy. Knowing the best defense is a good offense, our boy bends his knees and charges right in, mocking him. The bald enemy just laughs at the kid's blind courage in the middle of battle. Then the big guy jumps up to crush the kid, who slides right underneath him, scraping the dirt. But the heavy toll of that dodge ends up breaking a bone in his arm with a nasty snap. Swallowing the pain, he clenches his good hand and glares with pure killer instinct. All his strength gets thrown into a punch packed with insane and suffocating pressure. The impact completely shatters the bald guy's defense, launching the giant through the air non-stop. To keep his distance, the kid slides backward, cooling down the pace of the fight a bit. Laughing with a bloody mouth, the villain mocks the massive level difference between them both. Our hero just holds his busted arm, trying his best to endure the insane pain from the blow. The enemy mage swears to drain the life right out of the kid in an instant. With a simple snap of his fingers, this sorcerer summons a few floating spheres, and they fly right straight at our MC. Our MC rolls to the side, dodging the magic blast. Pissed off, the brute yells out that there's no point in the kid trying to run. Our MC grabs the body of one of the enemies to use as a meat shield. Using dead weight, he chucks the rival away, dropping him right into the magic attack. The hit triggers an energy explosion that pretty much wipes out the entire scene right there. Dodging the enemy's wild attack, the kid leaps away. Out of nowhere, a creepy figure steps out of the smoke, mocking that it's way too late now. That totally catches the kid off guard and instantly scrambles all of his battle logic. With that, the boy gets completely swallowed up by the massive detonation. This sends the poor kid flying far away. The dust settles and reveals a gigantic crater right where all that total chaos went down. A voice echoes demanding respect and completely smashes the big guy's face into the dirt. Even banged up, the guy is tough as nails and tanks another brutal hit without crumbling. Right then, a lone blade cuts through the fog, marking the arrival of some serious backup. Dark spikes shoot up from the ground, trapping the villain who's now screaming in awful pain. Our MC lands smoothly on the dirt, keeping his eyes on the rival who refuses to throw in the towel. Furious, the bald guy growls that the kid tries to run from death just like a stubborn pest, totally losing his mind. He swears he's gonna rip out the kid's teeth to keep as a sick trophy. Minutes later, that heavy smoke blasted by the mage still covers the entire battlefield. Focused right on his rival, our hero promises to tank the beating to see who drops dead first. Just like a ghost, he dances through the dirt, dodging punches with absolutely insane reflexes. Panting hard, the villain realizes the kid's stamina just won't quit and decides to go all out. With no way out, the crazy guy clenches his hand tight, tearing his own skin with his teeth. The guy pulls off a heavy sacrifice right in the middle of it all. His blood boils into a hellish heat, completely ready to turn into a destructive weapon. With deadly hatred, he throws a heavy, suffocating storm straight at the boy. Cold and calculating, the kid notices the guy's desperation and finds the perfect opening to counter. He just sinks his hand right into the dirt and pulls up a shield to defend himself. Hiding behind his shield, he waits for the brutal impact of that insane power to finally hit. The shockwave crushes all his defenses and blasts our hero right through the air without stopping. He controls his fall, locking down his stance to turn the game around right on the spot. Looking totally desperate, the big guy stretches his arm out, screaming the name of his final attack, but the kid lands completely shattering the ground, causing a mini earthquake that shakes his rival. That stumble freezes the enemy, who shakes all over when he faces our MC's ice-cold glare. In pure shock, the fighter's mind can't process how that kid actually survived all of that. Super fast, the kid's hand breaks through the target's guard and ends the fight by pure force. The boy steps back right away, dropping the giant's ruined body straight onto the battlefield. Staring at his own palm, he realizes that mixing the poison with the crystal is what gave him that extra juice. Lying right there, the warrior stammers, swallowing blood to beg his boss for help. Captain Thunder shows up and blocks the rescue, taking the whole mess straight head-on. Frustration completely shuts the rival leader up, making him huff with pure hatred on the spot. Without any help, the broken body on the ground starts mutating, turning into some weird raw. Desperate, the boss screams his ally's name right when everything blows up. Soon, the dust settles, revealing a bizarre vibe and someone watching from afar. Our MC turns around super slowly, noticing the heavy presence in the area. Without blinking, he locks onto the last rival and warns that it's his turn. But the guy simply turns his back and starts bailing out of the chaos. Completely silent, the boy walks while the villain just watches. Tired of this, the big brute loses it and charges in to finish the job. The giant charges with bloodlust, but the rival doesn't even turn to look. With that, the captain holds him back, warning that the threat is already over. Our hero heavily disagrees and guarantees they can take that crazy guy down now. Right on time, the veteran has a coughing fit, looking like he's really sick. Worried, the kid runs to support his friend without understanding a thing. He looks at the weird sky and mentions he's seen that macabre weather before. A strong wind sweeps through the dry forest, making a super scary noise. Man, right then a bizarre song echoes along with some tense fog. Ignoring the craziness, the rival keeps sinking into the middle of the fog. The two keep their guard up, realizing the deadly danger of that singing. A freezing chill hits the MC, which not even his level 3 can handle. And suddenly the kid's pupils shrink from pure shock at the scene. Spooked, he notices even the villain froze in his tracks like a popsicle. Back there, the giant also shakes non-stop, losing control of his body. That's when it gets real. An absurd scream of pain cuts through the whole forest. It's bizarre, the guy's soul seems to be ripped right out of his eyes and mouth. He thrashes in agony while a strange force shatters his body from the inside. Sunken in that fog, the villain twists all over until he turns to dust in the air. The exact same scary fate sweeps the bodies of the other warriors on the ground. Seconds later, absolutely nothing is left of the enemy leader besides dirt. In shock, our MC stays frozen, unable to believe that broken power. Right then, a pair of boots shows up walking through the woods to the beat of the song. The footsteps stop out of nowhere, making the cursed song echo even louder. You can see the exact reflection of the mystery figure in the kid's eyes. Completely confused, the two stare at whoever it is walking closer. In no rush, the ghost starts walking again, stepping hard in their direction. Captain Lay's eyes widen, looking like he recognizes that ghost from his past. Whispering an old name, he asks if it's the girl. Right when she stops there to help out, the kid holds the arm of the veteran who's shaking from head to toe. The scary shadow takes one more step, setting a super tense vibe in the air. Full of emotion, the old man stutters, asking if the woman finally came back. Immediately, he reaches out his two shaking hands to touch that illusion. Tears fall non-stop because his mind simply refuses to accept the scene. Then he collapses to the dirt, crying and sobbing, losing every ounce of composure. Kneeling and defeated, the captain totally gives up in front of that unreal figure. And that ghost just stands right there, watching the guy suffering up close. During all this painful drama, the macabre melody just won't stop playing. Our hero wiggles a finger and notices the freezing weakness vanished out of nowhere. Standing up, he figures his body is back to normal, and the worst is already over. Turning his head, he finds the veteran still sprawled out crying like a little kid. Sometime later, the duo stares at the dirty sky while a mourning vibe hugs everyone. Wiping his face, the old man warns that anyone who hears that singing ends up dead, except he was one of the rare survivors, which guarantees a cursed gift from it. Legend says the survivor sees who they love most, and he waited decades for it. Trembling slightly, he confesses he saw the girl but deep down knew it was an illusion. That hits the kid hard, who admits having someone he'd give anything to see too. Focused on the dead allies, he decides to at least secure peace for those souls. To him, warriors just need to return to the dirt and rest without much luxury. Quiet, the captain just listens to the heavy wisdom coming from such a young kid. Wasting no time, the MC leans on him and swears to get his buddy out of there. With a huge effort, he pulls the wounded veteran and throws him onto his own back. His eyes burn with drive, ready to walk through hell and save his friend. And that's exactly how he carries the wounded boss right out of that nightmare. Halfway there, the fog got super thick, and hiding the big guy became impossible. But check out this craziness. The chest crystal started purifying the air around them, rescuing the folks there. He demanded meds and bumped into his very own team. The LI points to Master Bay's tent, swearing that the boss's salvation is in there. Inside, the healer washes his hands, telling everyone to spit out the problem already. Full of attitude, the doctor shoots a heavy glare, waiting for them to explain the mess. Right beside him, a nice girl just watches everything with a little smirk. Out of nowhere, the master pierces our MC's soul with a totally sinister stare. The kid shakes in his boots, remembering the pressure from an annoying old teacher. Out of patience, the doctor notices the weight on his back and tells him to drop it. Super careful, our hero lays the old man on the dirt to get some first aid. Waking up startled, the captain opens his eyes, completely lost in that place. He gets close, asking the guy not to push it because help is already here. Way too proud, the injured guy tries to get up, swearing it's just a scratch. With that, the wise man asks where they met, and the leader says it was a long time ago. Checking the damage, Bai rules that the body is ruined inside and beyond repair. The prescription now is just to delay death, and fighting again is a sure ticket to the grave. With lots of humility, the big guy bows, thanking the doctor for the reality check. Cold and practical, he turns to our hero and the rest of the crew, telling them all to scram. Nobody dares to talk back, and the whole crew says their goodbyes. Stepping out for air. Out in the fresh air, the leader pulls out that classic pipe and takes a super deep drag, blowing smoke right in the kid's face. He gets a really confused look out of him. The smile returns to the guy's face, saying that nicotine beats any medicine. To calm the boy down, the veteran swears his shell is old and there's nothing to fear. Changing the subject, he asks what's for today's feast, and the MC asks for snake. Being smart, the boss doesn't let him buy it since folks there always rip people off. But the kid is absolutely sure nobody there would be crazy enough to hustle him. Without stalling, the sword buddy runs off to speed up dinner back at the camp. Minutes later, the kid is sitting down drooling in front of a totally packed table. He locks his eyes on that royal feast with his mind totally drifting in thoughts. Right then, an extra bowl lands in the corner, making the table fully set for dinner. It has everything: egg, fancy meat, and a big green dish set up for 2 people. And the captain's deep voice jokes that today is a lucky day for the duo's taste buds. Pulling out a dangerous snake by hand, the old man swears that beast's meat is pure gold. The kid almost jumps out of his chair without taking his eyes off the dangling exotic dinner. Full of pride, the cook on duty shows off the beast looking like an absolute master chef. Stretching the beast on the table, he keeps it real and asks if the kid wants to learn the art. Totally focused, the boy nods his head, showing he's super eager to get the recipe. He lets out a huge laugh, calling his student closer, super happy to teach the tactic. And the cooking class begins with a clean knife strike, slicing the poisonous monster's skin. He explains that you gotta wash it well. Take out the guts and only then chop it up to cook. But check it out. The chopped snake head snaps out of nowhere and almost hits the captain. Chopping the meat, the old man teaches that usually you just throw the head and tail away. Truth is, if you take the poison out right, the head really makes the flavor way better. With that, he throws it all in boiling water and warns that the meat's secret is the broth. The master trick is frying the pieces before putting them in the soup to make it tastier. With the food ready and steaming, the old guy asks if he got it, and the boy nods. Right after, the leader pulls out a flask and mentions that wine is a total rarity around the camp. Without holding back, he tips the bottle with joy and takes a really nice, big gulp. A sigh of pure satisfaction slips out, showing that he's really enjoying the moment. Our MC just keeps staring at him with a face like he doesn't understand a single thing. Super curious. The kid grabs the flask and asks if the stuff is really that good. He chugs the liquid all at once, right under Captain Thunder's watchful eye. But he quickly makes an ugly face of disgust, and the old man cracks up watching the scene. With his tongue sticking out, the boy complains that the stuff tastes absolutely awful. Laughing, the old man warns he's too young for it. But one day, he'll learn to like it. Now the food is finally served with a pot full of snake soup and a bunch of sides. The leader takes the lid off the pot, letting that sweet-smelling steam rise from the stew. That scene makes the boy go totally crazy, ready to devour every last bit of it. Wasting no time, he dips his chopsticks right into the pot to grab his first piece. Real quick, the kid is already stuffing the snake meat down with a big bowl of rice. Lei watches him eating in that super desperate way and gets caught deep in his thoughts. Deep down, he thinks it's a shame a child has to live in such a cruel world. Pausing his meal, the kid looks totally worried and asks about the boss's nasty wound. The old man calms the kid down, saying he's lived this long and won't fall so easily. To cut the chatter, he turns his face to the side and swears that everything is fine. With clean plates, the old guy laughs, saying they killed the whole snake and all the wine. Then he gets up, says he's gonna crash, and leaves the dirty dishes to clean only tomorrow. With slow steps, he walks away toward a super bright light right in the middle of the snow. The kid realizes the boss's life force was basically stolen by that creepy illusion. And that fills the kid with an absolutely insane amount of pure determination. The next day, the scenery wakes up completely covered by a thick blanket of snow. Looking to the side, our MC says good morning and calls the person his lifesaver. It's the pharmacy girl waving a broom at him from way out in the distance. When he gets closer, he doesn't recognize her right away and asks who she is. She reminds him he was the one who saved her skin by switching spots in the fighting arena. With that, it totally clicks for him and he just blurts out, "Oh, it's you." Touching the scar on her face, the girl says she barely made it out alive back there. Changing the subject, she asks what he wants, and our main guy asks for the white pills. The girl asks for a quick second, drops the broom, and runs straight inside. Inside the tent, she digs through everything, grumbling that the pills should be right there. Patiently, the boy waits with his arms crossed outside, just listening to her search for them, until he hears a super excited yell of "Found it!" coming from way in the back. She comes running back at 100 miles an hour straight toward the boy. Handing over the little bag, she apologizes, because the master only lets her sell 5 a day. Our MC quickly grabs one of the pills to check if the product is really that good. Totally impressed, he asks if giving away something of such high quality won't get her in trouble. Giving him a little wink, the girl swears it's all good and that it's just her power. He thanks her, but the girl cuts him off, saying she's the one who owes him her life. But suddenly, the tone changes and she warns that a lot of teens are vanishing in the forbidden zone. Paying close attention, he hears her say, "It looks more like human doing than some natural danger." Super serious. She tells him to be really careful, and our kid thanks her for the heads up. The girl gives a little wave goodbye while he heads on his way, sinking his feet into the snow. Taking one last look back, he sees the girl standing at the door leaning right on her broom. His eyes lock straight onto the nasty scar crossing right through the girl's smile, and right then it just completely clicks for him. He remembers the old man's story about a mystical 7-colored stone that can heal any scar. Right away he decides he's gonna hunt down that stone to help the girl whenever he can. Back at the camp, a huge racket of dogs barking totally breaks the silence of the place. Walking up to the gate, he comes face to face with a massive pack of wild dogs. Not understanding a thing, he just stares at the beasts, trying to figure out what went down. The swordsman shows up and says Lulia brought the dogs to guard the cactus. Plus, they brought a whole month's worth of meds and all the cash from the last mission. Holding the coins, the girl mentions they split the dead guy's share evenly among the 4 of them, and the extra cleansing pill they got as a bonus. The captain decided to pass on to the kid. Shizi says they picked up another mission and tosses a brand new dagger into our MC's hands. To top it off, she hands the kid a whistle to help him control the pack way easier. Super hyped, the warrior gives the kid a light friendly punch right on the chest. With the dagger and whistle in hand, he looks at his partners with a rock-solid gaze. Turning their backs, they tell the kid to take really good care of the leader while they're away. Master and student stand there at the gate, watching the duo disappear right into the horizon. He then turns his head and stares down the angry dogs that now answer only to him. With his blood boiling, our MC decides he won't just sit around waiting. He needs to take action. Now the scene shifts straight to the super creepy entrance of the famous Forbidden Zone. His goal is a rare flower capable of healing anything, even chopped off arms and legs. He found out about it from Dr. Bai and decided to risk it all to heal the old man. Walking around there, he thinks about how good it was to listen to that old doctor's teachings. Totally alone, the kid pushes through the thick woods without fearing what lies ahead. The bright orange sky lights up his entire journey straight through the middle of the dangerous brush. Passing through some ancient stone ruins, he searches absolutely every single corner. Several days have already passed on this hunt, and the kid still hasn't found the flower or the colored stone. Without giving up, he crosses the canyon from the last mission and pushes even deeper inside, until he comes face to face with a massive statue of an abandoned Buddha deep in the forest. That monstrous structure set against the afternoon sun makes for an insanely beautiful and surreal scene. Looking at the ruins, he wonders if in the future people will also step in there full of fear. He takes a deep breath and invades the ancient temple complex, searching for some answers. But the bizarre energy of the place pushes him away, forcing the boy to find shelter for the night. Sheltered in an empty temple, he sees animal droppings and figures the spot is safe enough to sleep. With his eyes closed, he realizes his power grows way faster while he's inside the zone. All the good energy he pulls and tears through him and instantly toughens up his muscles. Meanwhile, the dirty part of the energy seems to get completely swallowed by his bizarre shadow. Totally satisfied, the kid lets out a heavy sigh and calls it a day for his training. That's when it gets serious. That deadly chill invades the temple, and footsteps start creeping all around. Luckily, the illusion's music isn't playing today, so he can actually still move around freely. Hours go by and the bizarre pacing outside doesn't let up for a single second. Those dragging sounds in the sand keep getting louder and closer to the front door. Spooked, the kid notices there's an absolutely insane amount of things walking around out there. Not taking any chances, he holds back his curiosity and stays completely quiet in a hidden corner. But suddenly, a dull thud echoes from inside the temple, totally breaking the dead silence. His blood runs completely cold when he realizes something truly nasty just stepped inside the place. Outside, the crescent moon gives just a faint glow to the area. And out of nowhere, a horde of dark beasts surrounds the temple entrance. The worst part is that one of those shadows stops right at the door ready to attack. Staying hidden, the kid tries to figure out a way to stay out of sight, because even if he takes this creature out, there's still the whole crowd outside. But then he notices a really weird flash lighting up the air. That strong golden light reflects straight into his eyes. In just a few seconds, the whole place is completely lit up. The 2 guardian statues start giving off an absolutely insane power, taking completely over the entire main hall. Soon his eyes widen, completely unable to believe that sight. This purifying energy hits the monsters, making all of them back off. Right as the beasts turn to white dust just by touching the light. And that beast that stepped inside takes a violent jolt backward, screaming its head off while the energy totally dissolves its body. The creature is dragged across the floor without a single fighting chance, until it evaporates for good right in the middle of the hall. Check out what happens. One of the guardians moves and draws a sword, gripping the handle of the weapon with pure firmness. The giant guardian stands up out of nowhere, overflowing with power. With a heavy stomp, he starts walking right down the stairs. Right as there's say, "Ajadap," he jumps from up high straight into the dark, wielding that giant blade with some serious style, and right away unleashes a super heavy spinning strike that creates a destructive arc right over the nasty horde. One of the monsters takes the hit dead on and screams in pure pain, melting the beast's face right then and there on the spot. Without leaving a single trace, it vanishes right into thin air. Slowly, the flash from the strike spreads all through the hall. The rest of the pack just keeps staring from the outside, looking like they don't get that crushing force at all. But the damage is done, and the shadows pull back, turning into dust. Just so you know, the floor actually cracks where the sword went through. Way in the back, we see another giant skeleton statue on a throne. Wrapping up the defense, the two guardians turn back into plain stone, and that deadly silence completely takes over the place again. Our MC peeks from behind the pillar, with his jaw completely dropped. With the danger gone, he gathers his courage and steps out of hiding, walking super slowly right up to that skeleton. With that, he starts looking for something inside his bag. The kid lights a candle and puts it right in front of the statue, paying his respects and thanking them for totally saving his skin. With the mission accomplished there, he heads straight toward the exit. He makes his way through the forest, with his mind racing a mile a minute, because even without finding the plant, he grabs several pricey herbs. On his way back, he tries to copy the Guardian's strike to get some training in. Unexpectedly, he hits the 4th level and completely doubles his strength. Super hyped about it, he plants his foot on the ground to test it out again. That focused look says he is way more than ready for this. The punch rips through the air, creating some absolutely insane pressure. Just to give you an idea, the force snaps several dry branches all around him. Totally satisfied with the result, he gives a slight little smirk. Back at the camp, the kid goes straight back into the cabin. Quietly, he sneaks in so he doesn't end up waking anyone up. But the doctor was already waiting, letting him know dinner is served. Our MC notices the old man looks like he's completely exhausted. There was a full feast set up right there on the table. Did he actually cook and stay up waiting this entire time? While eating, the doctor asks if there was any real danger out in the zone. He spills everything about the shadows that got wiped out by the statue. Impressed, the old guy says he thought that was just a tall tale. Looks like the temple myth popped up right along with the haunted song. The kid listens to every single detail with his ears wide open. And soon the doctor cracks a smile, telling him to just relax a bit, having a peaceful dinner for the rest of the entire night. Over the next few days, the camp routine goes right back to normal. We even see our boy enjoying a much more relaxing bath, except his mind just won't stop hammering on some ideas. Throwing his clothes on real quick, he gets ready in his room. Then he steps out, taking a chill walk around the whole place. He mentally goes over the names of a few rare plants, smiling to himself for not showing up late to class that day. During the lecture, the teacher shows how to extract essences. When the topic wraps up, the instructor was already heading out of the tent. Suddenly, the man stops dead in his tracks and stares at the kid, asking straight up what he's looking for around there. The boy walks up a bit awkwardly and says he has a quick question. That's the yellow flower he picked up while in the forest. Right away, Master Bo gets a super serious look on his face. The plant almost seems to glow right inside the kid's hand, checking every petal with a suspicious and dead serious glare. And that's when it gets real. He warns it's not the flower of destiny. Visibly bummed out, RMC thanks him for the help anyway. He turns his back and walks away, being watched by the teacher, heading back inside his own space right after that. Inside, the visitor in purple was already hanging around waiting. The instructor doesn't hide that he's completely sick of the crazy guy. Sitting super chill, the visitor quickly starts up a conversation. He asks about things, but the master totally plays dumb. The guy brings up that the kid was able to drop a monster flat. Taking a sip of his drink, the master listens with a calm look. Crazy enough, he confesses he almost kicked the kid out for good, laughing for no reason. The man says the master is a huge softie, but the teacher fires back saying only pure power solves things around there. With nothing to say back, the visitor makes an excuse that he needs to go. Changing the subject, he drops some golden advice for his friend. This would be the perfect chance to see just how far the kid can go. Back in class, the teacher has this really lost look on his face. The students even whisper to each other about the subject right in front of him. Deep down, the old guy is just buying time to test the rookie out. With that, the morning sun is already shining through the wooden bedroom window. The boy writes down every detail he learned on a bamboo slip. He perfectly copies the recipe to extract the essence that calms the lungs. Finishing his writing, the kid looks up completely focused. Over the next few days, he listened to the class hiding outside and wrote everything down at home. And with the cash from the sales, the captain started guaranteeing hot meals for them. Right there at dinner, the old guy loved to tell several stories from the camp. That was really cool for him, and the visit from their two friends livened things up even more. Cracking a smile, he realizes this was the absolute happiest time of his life. But on a night with heavy rain, someone in a hood stands right outside the tent. Inside, one of the students notices the massive storm pouring down. Impressed, she mentions how stubborn the rookie is to show up in this weather. Master Bo then calls on a student to explain about a medicinal herb. The guy stutters completely and just can't remember the answer. With zero patience, the instructor calls him ignorant and passes the turn to another student. She even remembers a part of the name but apologizes because she forgot the rest. Completely pissed off, the old guy slams his hand right on the table. Meanwhile, the MC stays outside taking the rain, wearing a cape and a straw hat. The water pours down heavy against the canvas of the teacher's tent. And check out what happens. His voice echoes from outside giving the exact right answer. He explains every single detail, from where it grows to the poisonous side of the plant. Master Bo asks more tough questions and the kid nails all the symptoms and cures. Inside the tent, the whole vibe completely changes. Satisfied, the teacher says he has tested him enough and opens the floor for questions. The boy clenches his hand tightly, showing a whole lot of determination. Bowing his body, he drops several complex questions about herb combinations. That makes the master proud and he starts explaining them one by one. Wasting no time, our MC writes down all the tips on his bamboo slip. Outside, the storm doesn't show a single sign of stopping. He then thanks him for the answers and says he is leaving now so he doesn't bother them. But that's when it gets real. The teacher tells him to stop hiding out there. Starting tomorrow, the kid was officially invited to come inside the tent. This catches the kid off guard, leaving him with absolutely massive happiness. Quickly, he gives a huge bow to thank him for the chance. At lunch the next day, the captain celebrates that he is now an official disciple. The old guy even gives the boy new clothes so he can go to his studies dressed well and clean. Eating eagerly, the MC thanks him for the gift. With that, the old guy grabs a flask of wine so he doesn't show up to class empty-handed. Prepared, the boy shows a bag of coins he is going to give as payment to the master. He agrees to take the drink too since the teacher loves to knock one back. Right after that, he hangs the bottle on his waist, totally ready to head out. Captain Lei notices that the kid has never been so beaming with joy like this. The sun comes up at the cabin, everyone is already in their usual hustle. Our main guy shows up looking stylish, with super clean clothes for his first day of class. From the front door, the old man watches him getting ready and notices he looks sharp. He then drops some advice, telling the boy not to be shy about asking questions. All hyped up, the kid shows the drink on his waist, guaranteeing he didn't forget a thing. With everything set, he walks off heading for the tent, right under the captain's watchful eye. Halfway through the walk, the kid turns around and tells the old guy to go inside and rest. But the old guy says he is all good and tells him to pick up the pace so he isn't late. Waving back, the kid keeps pushing forward on his way. That look from the captain was overflowing with a whole lot of pride and a slight smile. And there goes our MC to start his official life as a student. Inside, he remembers how his routine has changed ever since that first day of class. After studying, he always heads to the Forbidden Zone to practice what he learned out there. Knowing about the forest poisons, the kid even sets up a shack to study safely. Using his resistance, he mixes several toxins and creates a super corrosive powder. Just to grasp its power, the stuff melts down anything in a matter of 5 seconds. The boy even tried to craft potions for the captain, but the master warned that only the flower can fix it. The thing is, even hunting all over the place, there was zero sign of that rare plant. Nothing worked and he saw the old man getting worse every day, coughing non-stop. That left the kid feeling way too anxious. Just like that, about 2 whole months fly by in the camp. Walking up to one of the tents, a little girl spots him from a distance. She cracks a big smile the exact second she recognizes the boy. The little girl already grabs the wine he usually buys and calls him Big Bro. Grateful, he takes the drink while she replies with the greatest joy in the world. But as he starts to walk away, the girl notices something weird. Right away, she notices his sad look and asks him to wait just a little minute. She says she doesn't know why he's so bummed out, but candy always makes things better. Opening her little hand, she offers him the very last piece of candy she had. With a giant smile, she says goodbye and asks her big bro to cheer up. Our MC just stands there, totally moved by that little kid's kindness. Firmly, his look gains a whole new determination while holding the candy. Later that day, the sunset is already hitting the captain's house. Right at the entrance, the old guy was already leaning there waiting for him. The old man gives a slight smile, thanks him for the wine, and calls him inside for dinner. Right there at the table, the vibe was quiet. Until the old guy lights up his usual pipe, And that's when everything changes. He drops a heavy look, ready to say something serious. Letting out a sigh, he calls the boy over. The captain keeps it real, saying his body just can't handle the scavenger's pace anymore. He reveals he bought a pass to retire in another city and is leaving first thing in the morning. Crushed by the news, the kid lowers his head and asks if he will ever come back. A super sad silence just hangs in the air between the two of them. The captain messes up the kid's hair, promising to come back for a visit if he can. Desperate, the kid still tries to talk him into waiting for their two friends to return. But the old guy says no, saying that dragging out the goodbye would just make everyone suffer more. Finishing his pipe, he asks the crew to come visit him whenever they feel like it. After that, the dinner just sits there without anyone touching a single thing. That exact same night, the kid stays planted by the window, staring right at the moon. The house felt 1,000 times emptier and quieter in the dark. When the day breaks, the old man already has his backpack on, fully ready to hit the road. He gives one last wave from afar and tells the boy he is heading out now. Running after him, our MC says he is gonna walk the master right to the exit. The old guy even tries to send him to school, but the boy puts his foot down. Full of stubbornness, he yells that he is coming along, and that's that. With no way out, the old man just lets out a sigh and accepts the escort. At the same time, we see there's another hardcore squad getting close to the base. Halfway there, the duo walks side by side in a super heavy silence. Trying to ease the tension, the old guy lets out a fatherly laugh. Our boy stays quiet, waiting to hear what's coming next. With his hand on the boy's shoulder, the captain starts giving his final piece of advice. He warns the kid not to underestimate the scavengers or the camp boss. And since the Vashra sect runs this whole area, the kid needs to keep his eyes wide open. He also reminds the boy to feed the dogs and eat well to grow up strong, asking him not to sleep on a cold ground and to always dry his clothes in the sun. At that moment, the old man tries to say something else but ends up holding back. He takes a deep breath, turns around, and continues his journey toward the horizon. Sometime later, he finally stops right at the entrance of the great Songtao city. The old guy turns to our main guy, who escorted him there, and says this is the end of the line. Lei then hands his heavy bundle of stuff right over to the kid. Ruffling the boy's hair, he says goodbye and tells him where he can be found in the city. All he can do is watch his friend fade away right into the middle of that crowd. That hurts. But he keeps watching the old man show his papers to the guard. The sadness hits hard, and the kid feels more alone than he ever has before. From way up front, the old guy gives one last wave before the guard rushes him inside. And just like that, he crosses the giant city gates once and for all. All around him, the crowd just goes about their lives under the late afternoon sky. There's nothing left to do but turn around and head all the way back home. He walks back totally alone, leaving that giant city in the dust. Way late at night, the boy wanders to the mostly empty streets of the base. Then, he lets out a loud whistle, and a bunch of dogs come running right at him. A whole pack surrounds our MC, all sitting pretty and waiting for his command. A bit later, he sits down at a table packed with all the dishes he cooked up. That amazing smell makes the kid's stomach start growling right on the spot. Grabbing his chopsticks, he dives headfirst right into his bowl of rice. From the outside, two guys are spying on his silhouette right through the window. One of them thinks the boy is super loyal and suggests handing him a command token right away. But their boss would rather wait until they snag a rare flower from the Forbidden Zone. They vanish right after, zooming across the roof like two super fast shadows. That very same night, a few other shadows start running across the rooftops of the base. The kids' dogs quickly get riled up, growling at the air like they sense something coming. Something crazy strong makes the warehouse door glow with a totally bizarre color. From the inside, you can hear a loud click from someone trying to pick the lock. And on the outside, the pack gets super tense, totally clueless about what's going on. Meditating inside, the boy finally hits the 5th level of his technique for real. A gigantic creepy shadow rises up right behind him, just overflowing with power. He tries to control the creature, but any command just gives him a massive headache. Bright and early, the camp's routine is already back to its normal pace. Peeking from the corner of his tent, he notices a girl getting real close. Without hesitating, she touches the kid's hair and notices he's grown a little bit. He gets a bit awkward and tries to take a step back to put some distance between them. But the girl mentions how he's always dirty and seems to change his face every single day. That makes her curious to wipe his face clean and see what he actually looks like. Quickly, she rubs it in his face that he still owes her an old favor. With a little cloth in hand, she just starts scrubbing the kid's cheek without any mercy. The kid freezes up completely while she carefully wipes away all that dirt. Once the job is done, the kid's real face is finally revealed. Her eyes go wide, blushing hard when she realizes the kid is actually super handsome. Right nearby, someone is standing in front of the tent just spying on the two of them. But the second she turns her back, the boy drops down and scoops up some dirt from the ground. He smears all that dirt right back on his face, leaving the girl super confused. None of it makes any sense to her. Just watching him walk away all filthy again. Totally clueless. She goes to complain to an old guy about all her wasted effort. The old man gives it to her straight, saying that drawing attention around there never ends well. That answer leaves a girl in complete silence, just soaking up the advice. By late afternoon, an orange sky takes over the entire camp. Walking along chilling, the kid is super stoked to have found the stone he needed. Out of nowhere, he bumps into a group of hooded guys marching in strict formation. Some guy nearby whispers that this is the execution squad from the Litu sect. People are saying these freaks rarely ever show their faces around the base. Rumor has it the group is hunting someone important and has already flipped the whole area upside down. They suddenly stop while one of the guys pulls out this massive spear. They circle around a guy in a red cape who's walking with a little girl. Instantly, the whole squad drops to their knees to pay their respects to the man. The guy in the red cape turns his head, throwing a super heavy glare down the street. And wouldn't you know it, he locks eyes right with our main guy. That little girl next to him flashes a massive happy smile right away. Recognizing her, our MC grabs his little pouch in pure panic. He grips the thing tight, protecting whatever he stashed away in there. Right in the middle of the crowd, the little girl just can't take her eyes off him. Looking cute as a button, she gives a few tugs on the big guy's cape. She tells her brother she found the boy who saved her life and asks to be excused. Our guy just stares back, thinking this whole scene is super weird. She cuts right through the crowd, making her way over to the boy. Walking up, she says her brother came to get her and even invites him to tag along. But he just shakes his head and shoots down the offer right off the bat. That leaves the little girl looking totally bummed out. But she smiles again, saying they bump into each other someday and she'll return the favor. Hearing that, the kid's expression changes and he seems to make up his mind. She says her big brother takes great care of her and innocently asks if our MC has one too. He pulls that same colorful rock he found in the forest right out of his pouch. Handing it over as a gift, he says the thing is perfect for fading scars. The little girl is absolutely amazed by how pretty that polished rock is. With the gift in her hands, she promises him with absolute certainty that they'll meet again, and she runs off happy as a clam, right back into her older brother's arms. All the kid wishes for now is that the little girl stays nice and safe out there. 7 days later, reality hits hard when Master Bai announces he's leaving too. He silently drops to his knees, letting the golden token hit the dirt. Paying his respects, he thanks the doc for the super valuable recipe he secretly taught him. The doctor comes clean, saying he taught him everything because he hates his clan's annoying rules. He'd rather travel and share his craft than let his medicine get buried by tradition. With his back turned, the old man gets deep, saying life is just an inn and time is a traveler. He gives a little smile, swearing that as long as they're both breathing, destiny will bring them together. But the kid just stays there, promising himself that next time they meet, he'll be a tough guy. A bit later, the scene shifts over to the quiet rooftops of the camp. The camera focuses right in on a random cup of booze sitting out there. Our main guy just stares at the cup, feeling the crushing weight of being completely alone. Chugging the drink all at once, he realizes the wine has finally started to taste good. That sweet image of the girl smiling is the only thing keeping the loneliness away for now. The little girl's voice still echoes in his mind, asking about her brother. With that, we see the full moon lighting up everything outside through the window. Leaning against the wall, the kid still holds the bottle of booze. He then repeats the doctor's words about life being just an inn. Remembering the goodbye, he says time is a traveler until they meet again. And man, right then, an old guy with a creepy smile shows up, stroking his beard. Bathed in the moonlight, the kid takes another sip of the wine. But he soon feels a weird presence and yells out, asking who's there. Getting spooked, he notices the shadow of a guy standing right at the window. He drops his drink right away, glaring at the intruder with blood in his eyes. The kid finds that super bizarre because he didn't even feel the crazy guy arrive. Since the dogs didn't even bark, the guy's strength is brutal and only poison can help. Except the mysterious guy super calmly warns that he's not there to cause trouble. In fact, he praises the young guy's coolness, understanding the seventh master's interest. Right after, the messenger pulls out a super flashy golden card, tossing the invite straight in the kid's direction. Our MC is quick and tries to grab the item using his destructive power in his hand. Nobody saw this coming. The card goes right through everything and hits the old guy in the back. That leaves the kid with his jaw dropped, totally lost in the illusion. Laughing softly, the guy explains that the item is the pass to the 7 blood eyes. And with the map on the back, he can use free teleportation in any city. When the old man vanishes, the boy clenches his fist, furious at his own weakness. The VIP pass just sits there, thrown on the floor, near the little table. Without hesitating, he bends down and picks up the invite. Staring at the emblem, he doesn't get why such a cruel sect would want him. Everything points to Master Bai having a hand in this whole story. The days keep passing peacefully at the base, making the kid rethink his life and all the loneliness around him. After all, everyone he knew left and nobody came back from their missions. Since the place got way too empty, he just hangs at the pharmacy and comes back to crash. Focused on the white pill recipe, he improvises with other plants to test it out. And wouldn't you know it, the result came out way different than what he was expecting. He takes a really close look at the little ball he just forged. The creation pulls in energy and blows up like a grenade, becoming his 7 Suns bomb. Besides that, his shadow has already taken the shape of a super bizarre humanoid. By his calculations, right at the 7th level, this beast is going to have a full body. He can even control the creature now, but the thing corrupts everything it touches. Checking the floor, it hits him for sure that his command will soon be absolute. Soon this will be his secret weapon. But a screen totally interrupts his focus. On the outside, a group of warriors runs desperately through the brush. One of them lets out a scream of pure terror, seeing bright lights surrounding everyone. Those flying jellyfish close the trap, forcing everybody to draw their weapons. Showing absolutely no mercy, the monsters charge in at an insane speed. And out of nowhere, someone launches a hand attack, popping a massive sphere. Several jellyfish start flying everywhere in a total chaos of combat. The jellyfish attack whoever stands right in front of them. A girl who was running away gets hit, screaming and begging for her life. In a few seconds, the girl's skin completely dries up and she falls flat on the dirt. Brutally cutting through the air, another beam of force rips through the forest. This attack catches his buddy by surprise, who drops to his knees in total shock. Only the boss is left standing facing the beasts, with his team laid out on the ground. Hidden away, the kid notices the group was level 7, but the beasts were way worse. Since you can never be too careful, he decides to just wait for the mess to completely end. But out there, the last soldier runs away screaming for young Master Bai. That's when the game changes. The beast shoots and our MC decides to block the beam and save the guy. The head-on clash between the powers kicks up an energy explosion in the brush, raising a protection dome that saves the survivor's skin from the impact. That soldier's jaw drops, frozen by the miracle that just went down. With a violent boom, the wall of the makeshift shack flies right through the air. Our boy Stapes active, hiding with his fist leaking that absolutely insane power. Letting out a yell, he delivers a destructive punch straight to the creature's faces. That heavy hit creates a shockwave that sweeps the beasts far away, clearing out the area. Landing on his feet, the kid's hand is still smoking from the massive impact. Both share a tension-filled look right in the middle of all that damage. Stuttering a bit, the guy thanks him for the backup and swears he's going to return the favor. Right after, he asks straight up what our MC has to do with Master Bo. The kid explains that he's kind of like a third grandpa, curious to know how they met. Frowning hard, he demands a very clear answer about this whole story. But the warrior changes the subject and says he'll guarantee the kid makes it out alive. Wasting no time, he already charges in for round 2 against the monsters, dodging enemy fire at a totally scary speed all across the battlefield. With every spin, the staff cracks through the air with an insane force to crush everything. A rain of dead-on strikes makes the jellyfish pop just like balloons. When the dust settles, you can see the guy completely cleared the whole path. That weird beast slime quickly melts and evaporates for good on the ground. Shocked by the combat level, the boy just stands there soaking in all the details. Right then he notices his own wooden staff is already cracking all over, until it completely turns to dust right between his very fingers. Quick on the draw. The young guy yells from far away for him to grab the sword, throwing the sharp steel flying 1,000 miles an hour straight at our hero. The kid stretches out his arm and catches the handle in midair with major reflexes and style. Planting his feet, he immediately swings a clean cut, tearing right through the beasts, trapping him. And wouldn't you know, he gets totally blown away by the insanely sharp edge of that blade.